Hey YouTube, this is Tony and I am back on the G-System Sinanju, this time working on the skirt. So these are the sections here, just the 4 blocks. Quite nice number of parts, not too many. So what I've already done is I've found all of them. That probably took me a good hour going through the entire bag looking for all the different parts, because remember, none of them are actually labeled. And I've already done a primer, so this is the base coat. Just done a very light coat of white. Everything's looking really good. I scrubbed them and sanded them beforehand. Looking really good. It has, just this base coat has shown me a few of the imperfections just from the cast, just along the edges. So I'll give those a little sand and get rid of those. And in this video, what I'm going to just be doing is showing the kit at the different stages. So obviously here's the base coat. I'm going to then move on and do a dark red as my primary color. That will form my pre-shade. And I'll go on and show you just the different parts as I progress. All the parts have now received their primary color. So here we've got some outer armor, which is red. It's the Ferrari Red from Vallejo, which has just been toned with a bit of black. So 20 parts red, 1 part black really makes it look a lot darker. So that'll form the primary color, which I'll then cover with a standard Ferrari Red. So obviously that's all the pre-shading along the edges. So not particularly tidy, it doesn't really matter, because when I do that top coat of red, I'm going to give a good couple of coats so you just very, very barely see the pre-shade beneath. Otherwise, some dark grey on the underside. I'm probably not going to faff with doing any special colouring because you don't actually really see that part, but I will obviously do some washes. The black components here, I've done a good couple of coats. Next up, I will spray that with a gloss coat and then do the metallic trim or the silver trim as I did before on the emblem. And that's pretty much it. I've now covered the pre-shade with the Ferrari Red. As you can see, the pre-shade is just coming through ever so slightly. And in the previous section of the video, I was just saying that the pre-shade doesn't need to be particularly tidy, because what you do is you end up tidying it up during your top coat here. So you can see there, I've just done some highlights in the main centers, left some of the pre-shade behind, and probably did a good 2 or 3 coats just to cover it up nicely. Some other parts, so for example, just done some more gunmetal. This part will be attached to the inner frame. This here is like a rocket booster underneath. I've also done that in metallic, gunmetal as before. This actually fits under this section here, and what I noticed is that these little 2 jets there actually need to be yellow. So I've just masked those off, and I'm going to do those in yellow now. Otherwise, everything else is the same. Just some more pre-shading covering over here. So very, very subtle, and that'll tie nicely when I do the washes. So that's the same for all the different parts. So really happy with that, nice and smooth. So next up, I'll be doing all of the gloss coating, and once that cures, I'll be doing all the washes in black. And finally, this is the last part of this video. I have moved along and done things like the decals and the flat coat. If you remember in my previous video, I had done everything with the gloss coats, and I was just finding that I was absolutely struggling, particularly with this large, big, flat part. It just looked bumpy and uneven, and you could see all the dust, and ended up having to redo a lot of the parts. And I decided to go with the flat coat. A couple of problems that I had that took a bit of time as well were these little guys under here, these little fins. They slot into a few slots down inside there. Those were kind of filled up with resin. I had to drill those out. Other challenging parts were these metal boosters. They don't really fit in there very well. They're supposed to come out at an angle, and what I actually found is that either these pieces of resin had collapsed a bit, or maybe these are a bit larger than they should have been. But these are metal. And another big challenge was on the main torso. So if I bring this down here, this part over there, let me just see if I can point to it with something. This guy here, as you can see there's absolutely no clearance. I ended up having to file this back quite a lot just to give it a little bit of play. I think I might have to do it a little bit more, but what I was finding is I couldn't actually get this piece on at all, so I had to file that back. Attaching these skirt components to the skeleton is very easy. As you can see, there's just a little hook, and over here there are a few little rods and these just clip on like that. So it's very, very loose. It's definitely not stable, but since it's not an action figure, I think that should be fine. And yeah, they pretty much just suspend there. So here, very little play. Again, it's this grey component where it's catching. I'm hoping that that's enough play there for the Under Armour, for the legs. And then the same for the back skirt. Very, very little play. It'll lift up a little, but again, it's catching. This time it's catching on this booster at the back there. So I'm hoping that'll be enough play. I guess I see now why guys do dry builds beforehand. But even then, I don't know what I would be able to do. So that's pretty much the skirt now. Next part will be moving on to the legs, which I'm very excited about. So anyway, if you're enjoying what I'm working on and you want to see more, please give the video a like and share this in the community. And I'll be back probably in a good couple of months once the legs are done. Take care.